Hi there, Michelle here, and welcome back to my channel. And today's video is another Sit Down Monday vlog. Honestly, last week was a blur because I feel like nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like sometimes certain weeks is just like, what did I even do last week? In today's video, I'm going to be going over the projects and what I did last week, projects that I'm currently working on right now, and what I want to start this week, as well as future projects, and showing you some yarn for my next project, the biggest crochet project that I've ever made. And yes, it's going to be even bigger than the grandfather clock. If you're new to my channel and you like crocheting and knitting and yarn and thrifting and 80s and this general vibe, then why not hit the subscribe button? If you subscribe to my channel, then you will be up to date with all of my latest videos and projects. First off, I do want to talk about the video that I put out this past Saturday. It is the video that I was kind of hinting at and kind of keeping a secret until it came out. Well, now I can officially talk about it. I also don't have it though, which is so strange. I don't mind making things for other people, but it's weird making something and then no longer having it in my possession. I made this adorable dog bag. Her name is Eno, and this project was actually my very first, how would I say this, like realistic tapestry project. Normally when I make a tapestry project, it's kind of like a drawing. It's not, I wouldn't say the most accurate. It looks a little bit more cartoony. And I know I did do the Fire Goose like 2 years ago. Technically, I used a picture of a real goose to draw it out, but then I put flames and I made it screaming. So like not the most realistic it could have been, but this dog bag, I actually used a real photo and had to do my best to make it look like the dog. And luckily, it was an easy dog. Thinking of having to make a tapestry of like Totoro or Whispers, I don't know if I'd be able to get all the detail in there, you know, because there's so much detail. Whereas, you know, the dog, her face was very simple. She's adorable. And like the video that I got sent of him opening it up and showing it to her, adorable. I got really lucky with how easy her face was to translate into a tapestry grid and crochet. So I made this for Jack Robbins, and he lives in New York. So I had to ship it to him, and I was just so worried that it was going to get lost in the mail or he wasn't going to get it in time. I was just stressed. The crocheting part wasn't stressful. It was the sending it that was kind of stressful. Like I did tracking on the package. I did everything. So then I did like express shipping just so that way he'd be able to get it. And then when he told me that he did receive the package, I'm like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to worry about where it is right now. I follow him on, I believe, TikTok and Instagram because he makes like these funny skits. And he's overall very funny and he seems like a genuinely nice guy. But what you may not know, and I didn't mention it in the video because the video that I made for Saturday was about Eno the dog being turned into a tapestry project. What you might not know is that Jack's mother is the famous and talented Susan Sarandon. A lot of y'all probably know Susan Sarandon more than you would know her son. But yeah, that is his mom. And I made him a tapestry project. He really liked the bag. I think it turned out good. I got a cute photo with the bag and Eno together, and I'm just so glad that it's done. Also, my sewing machine, when I was working on that project, was not a fan of me that day. Turns out I had to change the needle. I know you're technically supposed to change the needle of your sewing machine every single project. The projects that I do aren't like a big project. Now, if I were to be making a dress or a pair of pants, which I would like to do both at one point, and I've made so many dresses in the past, I just don't wear dresses, so I don't make them anymore, I would change the needle for that or like after a big project like that. But for the most part, I am just sewing bags together, sewing them to a crochet bag, and adding some handles. I don't think I need to change my sewing machine needle for every one of those projects because that would just be a waste of needles. I think maybe every like 10 projects, I'll change it out. But again, I'm not really doing like major sewing. I'm not spending hours on the sewing machine. On a good day when my sewing machine wants to cooperate, I might spend 20 to 30 minutes and then not be back on that sewing machine for like another month or two. I need to remember to change the needle if things aren't working out. If you have a sewing machine and it's giving you problems, the thread is jamming, the thread is getting all tangled up, check out your tension. Usually it's like that little knob that I technically don't really know what it does. What I'll do is I'll get like a scrap piece of fabric and I'll just play around with that tension until like looks right, or just change your needle. And 9 times out of 10, you just have to change your sewing machine needle. That's the only advice I can give for sewing machines. I don't use it enough. Also, my sewing machine is a Kenmore from like the 1980s and I love it. I love it so much. I don't really know all the fancy doodads you can do now. Anyways, that's some sewing advice. That is what I was basically working on in the month of May. Now, last week, I started working on a project for my favorite yarn store owner, Stephanie, for her shop, Central Pearl, and I was talking about this in my last vlog. Where did I put that box? What I'm doing is I'm making a granny square bag out of a bunch of random granny squares. Well, they're not technically random. They're out of these boxes here. Now, I only brought one box in because carrying all four can kind of get a little heavy. And what it is a granny square card deck. So let me just open this one for you. So there's like these cards. So it's like this, and then you flip it around and you get the pattern on the back. There's also a helpful little user guide. They're pretty fun. I really like them. I have all four of the sets that are currently available. The latest one, which is the bright and bold deck. I really like this project so far. I get to use my yarn stash, which is fantastic, but I am only using yarn that I have purchased or that I have gotten from Central Pearl. So I'm not using anything from Michael's or anything from anywhere else. I'm strictly using yarn that you can buy from Central Pearl because she's going to be displaying this in her shop. And so I want to be using yarn that you could buy from her shop, right? So if you walk in, you see the square, you're like, I love that color, you'll be able to buy it there. The yarns that I'm using for this project are Estelle worsted, which I think is my favorite. I think it's my favorite yarn. The Cascade 220, which is 100% wool yarn. And the other one is Barocco Vintage, which I use Barocco Vintage all the time because I love the colors from them. But I like the Estelle worsted, the feeling of it, and it's just a little bit thicker. Normally, if I were to do a crochet project, I probably would stick to one thing of yarn, one brand of yarn, right? So then that way, when you're switching colors or whatever you're working on, it's all the same. But because these are all granny squares, I can mix and match because I'm not going to be wearing it. So it's not like it matters if it's wool and it's not wool. It's fine. I'm using like all three of these yarns because they're relatively the same thickness. And then I have a bunch of colors from each brand, right? So I get a lot of colors this way. The other day I did have to go to Central Pearl. I mean, like I always go there, but I did have to go and get 2 new colors that I don't have. Actually, one color I did have somewhere, but unfortunately it was a DK weight and I'm trying just to use a worsted weight yarn. You know, even though I'm not using the same brands, I'm mixing, matching the brands, I still want to stick with the same weight of yarn. And so I ended up getting this green here. It is called, I don't remember. It's called something. Did make a top with it. You know, I just saw the top. It's this top here. This is the maybe one day top by Just the Worsted. This color is so beautiful. I believe it's like heathered. It's where it's not a solid color. There's like flecks of other colors kind of in it. I'm pretty sure this is Barocco Vintage, but it is in a DK weight and I need a worsted weight. So I went there, I got a worsted weight in this color, and then I also bought an Estelle yarn in a white because what I decided is that around every single square, I'm going to do a single crochet border. I bought the white so I can do a border around each square, connect them all together, and then do the straps. I really want each square to like pop, to like be its own thing, even though it's going to be in a cluster of 9 other squares. By the way, I'm doing the 18 squares. I think I was talking about this in the last vlog. I didn't know if I wanted to do 8 squares or 18. I wasn't too sure if I was going to do 4 squares on the front and 4 squares on the back. The squares are not as big as I thought they were, so I'm going to do 9 squares on the front and 9 squares on the back. And I'm almost done the first 9, so it's getting there. It's looking pretty good so far. I'm running into a small problem, but don't worry. I've already fixed it. I didn't think this was going to be a thing. The first 3 of these card decks that came out were by the same designer. This one's by someone different. And because this one's by someone different, the square sizes are also different. I think I made like the first 5, 6 squares from the original 3 card decks. Then I ended up making a square from this card deck, still using a 5mm hook, just like the other ones, and this one turned out so much bigger than the other ones. What I ended up having to do is go down an entire hook size for the new squares in order for them to be the same size as the old squares. I did bring 2 examples in here to show you what I mean. Also to kind of give you like a fun little sneak peek at the next video. I've made these ones so far. This one I believe, I can't remember which one's this one from, but this is from one of the original ones. It has like the cute little flower, and I did do the white border. I've decided to do 2 rows of the white border. I think that just looks a lot better. I still have to weave in the ends, and because this is for somebody, I will be weaving in the ends. I don't know if I'm going to be putting a lining in this bag. I might, because I do have a really good fabric, a really, really good fabric that if I can find it, I could use it for this. I gotta look for that fabric. And then the other one is this here. Now this one, look at this one's pretty cool as well. And again, gotta weave in those ends. This one is from the Bright and Bold. I had to go down to a 4mm crochet hook for this one. And this one I used a 5. They are the same size. I also do need to block them, and I did order myself a blocking board, which I should have done years ago. I did try to make myself a blocking board at one point, but I lost all the pegs. The board is actually behind my grandfather clock. It was just like a pegboard, you know, that you would use like in a tool shed in a garage or something like that, or in a craft studio. And I lost all the pegs for it. I don't know where the pegs are. The new one that I bought is a lot smaller, so it will be easier to store. I've also wanted one for a while, and I told my sister this, and she gave me this look being like, I needed this a month ago. I didn't need it a month ago. We'll be blocking them out because they are a little funny right now. So is this gonna be a little bit bigger of a bag, you know, but it's gonna be so cute, okay? 2 of them, that would have been way too small for a bag. So just think of it as like 1 extra right here, and then I'm gonna have 1 more row and then another row. So this is gonna be a 3x3, and I'm really excited to put all these pieces together and see how the bag turns out. I did make a map, a plan of where they all go. I also made sure that I remembered where each of these squares came from, because the 3 original boxes, because they were made by the same creator, the design of them is all the same, and it doesn't say on the square where it came from. I don't want to draw on it, but I might have to get a pen and like write something on each of the squares so I know what box it comes from. Whereas the new box, the Bright and the Bold, because it is from a different designer, the font on it is different, so I know which ones go in here. But the other ones, well, the one box, which I think is just called Solids, that one I know where that one goes because it's not granny squares, so I know those go in their own box. But the problem is that the original squares and the flower squares, I get kind of confused because in the original deck, there are flower squares. So that's fun. For the most part, I think I can like figure it out. It would have been neat in the guide if it showed you each of the squares that you could make in it, and then that way it'd be easier to put them away. It's fine. I made probably about 9 squares right now, and I will be working on that today, hopefully get a bunch done, because I need to start working on my next project, which I will be starting this week. It's gonna get started this week. I don't think it comes as a surprise to anybody that Stranger Things is probably my favorite show out there. Okay, I love Stranger Things so much, and in 1 month, be turning 10 years old. Stranger Things came out 10 years ago. Where did the time go? It went so fast. It doesn't help that season 3, 4, and 5 all came out like further and further apart from each other, because season 1 and season 2 literally came out like 1 year after the other. Because Stranger Things is turning 10 years old, I have decided that I want to make a giant tapestry blanket of the town of Hawkins. This project, I have been kind of tinkering away at it for the last 3 weeks because I need to plan it out. I did talk a little bit about this in my last vlog, but this week I am starting it, and I bought the yarn for it. Not all the yarn, but the main 2 colors that I'm gonna need, I bought the yarn. Any of y'all grew up in the 90s or had children in the 90s, you might recognize this car mat with the little roads and the buildings, and you could have like little toy cars and like play around with it. I didn't have it as a child, but our friends that we used to visit, they had it, and I was always obsessed with it. And originally my idea was I was just gonna make a map of Hawkins, like no roads, just buildings. And then my sister convinced me, no, you gotta make it like the play rug. And she's absolutely right. I have it like 80% mapped out right now. I actually got all the buildings done. There was a few stages that I had to do for this map. I had to first figure out how big I wanted the map to be. It's gonna be a very big blanket. It's more like, it's bigger than a lap blanket, but it's not like a bed blanket. It's like right in between. But I had to figure out where everything was gonna go, rough sketches, and then yesterday I finalized all the buildings, so I made them all pixelated. And then what I did is I'll put a photo here, kind of like the rough thing. It's still not completely done yet. I still need to add a few things. I made 6 zones, and then I put all the zones together to kind of see how everything looks. There's one building, the town library, that I need to fix just because it's too big and it doesn't really match any of the other buildings. Some buildings are a little bit bigger than others. Some have a little bit more detail than others. Also, I do want to point out that this map is not accurate and it is not to scale. Just keep that in mind. Nothing is to scale, okay? Like Joyce's house is the same size as the high school. Nothing is to scale. I also couldn't include everything. I think I just included the stuff that is like the most memorable and at least one thing from each season. I showed the grid to my sister and she was able to figure out what each building was. Again, because it is mine, it has to make sense to me. Today, I do have to finalize it just a little bit more. I got to make a building a little bit smaller. I got to move a few little things around. I have to add trees and bushes, maybe some cars. I like to put maybe the kids' bikes in there at one point, but I also think what's going to happen is a lot of the smaller details, I'm going to sew them in when the whole blanket is done. Like text, like say like Hopper's police station. I want to put police because that's what it says on the building, but I'm not going to tapestry crochet that, okay? Same thing that goes with Hawkins High School. I'm not going to crochet that in. And the logo, I'm not crocheting that in. I will go back with a yarn needle and the yarn and make those adjustments. But it is almost done and I can see the finish line. I'm very excited about that. I can actually start it this week because I bought the yarn for it. This project, I want it to be a stash busting project, okay? So for the most part, I think I have all the yarn. I don't think there's a yarn color that I need to get. I think I'm good. I think I have all the yarn I need. However, I did need to buy a yarn for the background, which is going to be green, and I had to buy yarn for the roads. So the other day I did go to Michael's to look for yarn, and luckily I did have some coupons because the yarn that I bought is a little bit more expensive, but I knew I needed a lot of it and I was not going to chance it. I was not going to be like, oh, you know, it will be fine. If I need to buy more, I'll buy more, because I need to make sure that the dye lots are the same. I would hate to be halfway through this project, run out of yarn, have to go back to the store, not get the same dye lot, start working on it, and you can clearly see a line between the colors, even though they're the same brand, even though they're the same color, but dye lots matter. And I say this a lot so y'all don't run into the same problem that I had. Again, it was the Fall Out Boy sweater. I know people are telling me to like dye the spot. It wouldn't work. I'm not going to put the effort into that. But ever since then, dye lots are very important, and I had to learn the hard way. I can show you the yarn I got. I bought my favorite acrylic yarn that is worsted, because my favorite acrylic yarn that is DK, Hayfield Bonus DK yarn. I got Lion's brand Pound of Love. I love this yarn. It is so nice. I believe I went on a rant in the summertime about how they changed the yarn and it doesn't feel the same. This feels like it used to. When is it from? There's a date. This is from 2025. So maybe it's an older batch. I ended up buying 2 of these because it is going to be a big blanket. Will I need 2 of these? I don't know. Am I going to chance it? Absolutely not. So I think I'm going to keep the other one in its bag, and if I don't need it, I can return it. I don't feel bad returning yarn to Michael's, okay? It is what it is. I'll keep my receipt and I'll keep it in the bag because they come in bags like this. I might need all of it though. Also, I am not going to make the mistake and pull from the center. Never pull from the center of these, okay? I have made that mistake so many times. You can pull from the center and be fine for most of the project, and then at one point, it just all starts getting tangled up into a giant mess. I will be winding these up into yarn balls before I start this project. The green that I got is called Winter Green, and I have bought green from this brand before, but it was a darker green, and I kind of want the green to be more like the same color from the like OG 90s car maps. Now, I did mention this before, but I was kind of going back and forth of what color I should have the background, because the original idea was I wanted to do like a map and have like a beige color kind of thing. I decided to go with green. The other color I did buy, because I know I needed it, is this gray. I don't have a lot of gray yarn because I don't use it a lot, and again, dye lots matter. A lot of this project has a lot of roads on it, and I am not chancing running out of yarn. I also was kind of thinking I could have bought like 2 of another yarn, but then it would have been like the same price, or more expensive because I got like 30% off this one. This one here, it has like that heathered look. Again, a heathered yarn is something that is not like a solid color. You see how this one here is solid. You don't see any other color in it. But if you really look close to this gray, you can kind of see a little bit of lighter gray, a little bit of darker gray, a little bit of like gray white kind of color in there. So that's what heathered is. It's not like a solid gray. And I didn't want a solid gray for this because I want this to look like, you know, like a road, asphalt, concrete. It kind of has those different colors in it. So this one is called Oxford Gray, and this is going to be the roads. Now I know that I'm going to need a lot of this, so I just thought it's better just to buy this big one. You know, I'll have leftover yarn and I can use it for other projects. Now, because the buildings are smaller, I just didn't think I needed to buy yarn for the buildings. I'm going to be using yarn that I already have in my stash. Now, yes, if I come across some color, mainly blue, because I'm going to be doing the creel house, and if I can't find the right creel house blue, I will buy a blue. There are certain colors that I may or may not have to get. For the most part, a lot of the buildings are beiges and browns. Most of the yarn that I have are beiges and browns, so I think I'll be okay, but I knew that I needed a main color and I knew that I needed a color for the roads. I'm hoping to start this project this week, okay? I can't wait any longer. I need to get this out. This is a big project. Now, I know a lot of people always tell me, oh, split your videos up, do half a video and half a video. I don't play like that. If I do a project, I want it in one video. I want it all together. Do you ever watch a TikTok and someone's like, come back for part 2? I never go back to part 2. I'm like, if you couldn't have put it all in one part and you could have put it all in one part, I'm not coming back for part 2. I want this to be one video. You see the thumbnail, you want to watch the video, it's all there from start to finish. Everything's in one video. I personally like watching videos like that, and that is how I like making my videos. So no, I will not be separating it into parts. That's kind of why I have these Monday vlogs, so I can talk a little bit about them and maybe like show the process of them on the vlogs. But for the most part, I like to have whatever that video is about in one video. I don't like breaking it up. Maybe if I do a collab with somebody and it's a huge project, that I could see, but if it's just me, I want to get it all done in one video. That is kind of why I have already planned out my videos for the next 3 weeks. For this Saturday video coming up, what is that? The 27th. I want to get this project done, the granny square bag done. The week after that, because it will be July, I'm going to be doing a video going over everything that I have knit and crocheted in the last 6 months, because it's already, the year is halfway over and we got 2 months till September, which is fall. And I'm so excited because I get to wear the fox cardigan again. I was only able to wear that fox cardigan for like maybe a few weeks. I could have worn it today, actually. It was kind of cold, and I want to start knitting sweaters. There's so many sweaters that I want to knit and crochet, and I get to start that soon as well, because if I want to wear it in the fall, I gotta start it soon. And then I want to do another video after that, and I think it might have to do with the camper, just like making some cute crochet things for the camper, as well as redoing my beaded curtain, because I know I keep mentioning it. It's not as full as I would like it to be. Also, the string that I used for the beads was not good. And I did find the other beaded seat cover that had fallen apart, so I can add those beads and just completely redo it. That is something that I'm going to do maybe near the tail end of me working on this blanket, when I kind of have an idea of how long it's going to take me to finish this. I have 3 weeks booked out just to crochet this, and I'm very excited. I love a big project. This is the biggest tapestry project that I've ever made, and probably the biggest one that I'm ever gonna make. It's even bigger than the grandfather clock. I know I keep talking about that one, but that one is also technically a Stranger Things project. But that one was also done in double crochet. So part of me was kind of thinking, oh, should I do this blanket in double crochet? But I kind of want it to be like a heavy blanket, and you get so much more detail if it is single crochet. And then I was also kind of thinking, oh, should I do it in a DK weight yarn? If I was making like a smaller tapestry that was hanging up on the wall, like a map, you know, like more of like a map type of thing, or if I was making it the size of the car mat, then yes, I would go with a DK weight yarn, and I probably wouldn't put as many buildings, and it wouldn't be as much detail. Yeah, that's the big project that I'm going to be working on for the next few weeks. Also, last week, I did tidy up my camper. Although looking around, it doesn't look like I did anything. I picked these up at an estate sale like 2 years ago, and I haven't really found a place to put them. And I'm like, you know what? I have windows in my camper. I should put them on the window. And then I bought these yesterday so I can put it on the window and then these can hang from it. I cleaned the inside of the window, but the outside of the window still needs to be cleaned up. But I wanted to make sure the inside was good to hang these up. So I'm just going to hang them up. So this one is up. I also need to replace these things. I need to clean the outside of the window. I have the duck in this one. And then in this one, I put the little maple leaf. So I think that looks pretty good. I've wanted them up for a while and now I have a spot for them. This is the part of the camper that I did tidy up. This has to come back in the house. This is all recyclable. I'm just gonna get rid of it. If that was the original, like, true Stranger Things box and not the knockoff version, I probably would keep it. But it's also, like, really beat up. So that's going. That's summer stuff that I need to still figure out. Has to go into my storage unit, has to go into my storage unit, has to go into my storage unit. So those 3 bags are gone. I also cleaned up this chair besides the Demogorgon crochet mask that I still have on it. This area I did kind of organize a little bit. I think I thrifted this. I believe I thrifted this. I need to find a place for this. Besides the Stranger Things fanny pack, there's some clothes over there that I really want to sew. There's a pair of pants that I want to make into shorts. Last year, I could not find shorts that I liked. I like wide shorts and everything else was either way too short and they were wide, or they were the right length and they were too tight. So I ended up buying like Old Navy baggy jeans, which these might be a bit too big for me this year, but I'm gonna make them work. And then I'll cut them, put them through the serger, and sew them up. I did it to 2 other pairs last year, but I did it so late in the season, I just didn't feel like doing it to a 3rd pair. But I might do this week, so I can put that in the vlog for next week. And then over here, I put my granny square blanket that I made. It is kind of small. If I would have known that I would be using it on here, I might have made it 1 row bigger. It's fine. I really like it because the blanket that was on here is over there now. And I like that so much better than the white blanket that was on there. The white blanket just didn't work for me. Even though it might look still a little cluttered, all 3 of these bags are going to my storage unit. It is a lot more tidy. I just need to bring some bags to my storage unit. So it's a lot of like sweaters and jackets that I'm not gonna need for the next months because I brought out my summer stuff. But for the most part, everything is like kind of tidied now, which is very nice. I don't mind a little clutter as long as it is not chaos clutter and it is organized clutter, okay? If it is organized, even though it's not like off the floor, if it's organized and I know where it needs to go, I am quite happy. My sister wanted to donate some stuff and she put it in my camper because she didn't want it in her room, but she hasn't taken it out yet and it's just kind of sitting by the door and that's driving me nuts. So I know like that's not staying in here. That's going somewhere, but she needs to get it out of here. And then I have like some totes of stuff that has to go back to my storage unit. Then I got to clean that other room again. What happened was when I was cleaning the other room, I was taking stuff out, bringing it in here, clean that, but then I had it all in here and unorganized. And so yesterday I organized in here and I put a bunch of stuff back in there that needs to be organized in there now. It's a lot of switching. I also have a bunch of yarn to put away again. I blame the flower granny square blanket I did because I used a lot of yarn and I haven't put anything away yet. I also lost some yarn if that is possible. It's somewhere in here. But for the granny square projects, there is a blue that I really want to use that I bought for the flower garden cardigan and I can't find it. I also bought a pink and I bought a green and I really want to use those colors for the granny squares and I just don't know where they are. For these here, I'm trying to match what's on the card to the square that I'm making as best as I can without having to buy a bunch of new yarn for it. There are some squares that have some blue in it and I really want to find that blue so I could use it in there. If I can't find it, it is what it is, but I am looking for it. Once this blanket is done, I can start working on a knitting project. I haven't knit anything in so long besides my temperature scarf, which isn't going great this year. I still haven't uploaded my February, March, April, or May. I haven't even finished May yet. Videos to my Patreon, and I'm so sorry, but I think it's because I've been putting out these Monday vlogs that I forget that I also have to edit those videos. Once that blanket is done, I can start working on my first ever knitted t-shirt. And I'll be able to use this bag here. It says, in my knitting girl era. This is from Pine and Pearl. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out her shop. I have the yarn that I'm going to be using for this top. I know I was mentioning it a little bit last week, but I didn't have it with me in the camper. And sometimes when I do B-roll, it's not the same of being here. It's going to be made out of Ganga Acro wools. This is 100% acrylic yarn. I bought this yarn 2-3 years ago and I haven't used it. And I bought 2 of them, kind of thinking I was going to like crochet a sweater with it. and that didn't happen. Would I like to use something that is maybe not acrylic for a knitted shirt? Yes, I would have loved to do that. However, I haven't made this before. I haven't made this pattern. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I just don't see what the point is of me spending a bunch of money on yarn to make something that I may or may not like yet. When it comes to crochet, I know my tension. I know how things are going to look. I will spend the extra money because I know what I want the outcome to be. Knitting, I'm still new to it. I've only ever knit 2 sweaters. I really don't want to spend a bunch of money on yarn and not like it. I've also spent a bunch of money on yarn for 2 sweaters that I want to knit, and I haven't even done anything with it yet. Let's just use from my yarn stash. Let's see how it goes. If I am in love with this t-shirt and it fits me perfectly and I want to wear it every single day, then I would go and buy the more expensive yarn and remake it. Maybe this year, maybe next year, who knows. I'm going to be making the Tulsa tee, and she has a long sleeve version, which I mean, like, it's technically the same as a short sleeve. You just keep going down for the sleeve, right? And if I really like it, there are some yarns, Cascade 220, that has a pink and a red that I really, really want to do. So I can make a sweater version of this in the wintertime if I really like this pattern, okay? But again, what if I don't like the pattern? What if I don't like it, how it fits? I'm using yarn that I didn't have to pay for in the last 3 years. I'm pretty sure this yarn was on sale, so I did get a good discount way back when I bought it. And it's just been sitting in my yarn stash, and this is the year that I make somewhat of a dent in that yarn stash. Like, look how fun these colors are. They're so pretty. You got your oranges, you got your pinks, browns, off-white, beige colors. I think this is going to make a really cool striped top. And it's kind of a learning experience, you know? If I like it, great. If I don't like it, I learned something new. And that's okay with me. I'm still new to knitting. I want to get better at it, and I need the practice as much as possible. If it doesn't turn out, that's okay. I got more practice with knitting. That's a win in my books. Also, last week, I did have to say goodbye to my Honda Civic, which was so sad because last week at this time, it was sitting right there, right outside my window in the camper, and it's no longer with me. It's sad that it's gone now. And what breaks my heart is that we actually had to take the car apart. We sold it to, I think, like Auto Wreckers or something like that. So they'll come pick up the car, give you cash, because like I couldn't sell it to somebody because of all the problems that it had, especially the gas tank that was falling off. Because I had put gas in it a few days prior to it like completely shutting down. Well, it didn't shut down. It just was not safe to drive. They wouldn't take it unless the gas was out. So last Saturday, me and my dad spent the entire day taking the gas filter or the gas thing out of the car, meaning we had to take the back seat out, and then we had to take a bunch of bolts out, and then we had to siphon out the gas. That was an all-day thing. And then we put it back together as much as possible, you know, like we put the whatever the thing was, the gas pump, the fuel pump, I think that's what it was. We put that back in as best as we could, but we didn't put like the seat back, and I felt so bad. And if anyone has ever watched the movie My Girl, when the girl is like, he needs his glasses, that's how I felt with my car, because it wasn't put back together the way it was, and I felt really sad about it. And I'm still kind of sad about it. I did get a new car. I got a Chevy Trax. It's great, okay? It's a little space-agey for me, meaning it's a little futuristic, a little too futuristic. I feel like I'm in Star Trek when I drive it. It's all like touch screen, and there's no CD player. You know, it's good. I like it. It takes about the same amount of gas as the Honda Civic, which I'm very surprised about because I thought my Honda Civic had really good gas mileage on it. The Trax is the same. There's a sunroof. I'm very happy with a sunroof. I haven't had one of those in a car for a really long time. Something that I also really want to do this summer is spend more time in here. I can't get the internet. It's too far away from the house to get the internet in here, which is fine. I'm not going to use a hotspot on my phone. I used too much of it last month, and sometimes I'll use the hotspot on my computer, like the cellular hotspot, to upload my videos faster, and I used up all my data. So I was without data on my phone for 3 days. I do have a DVD player. I have a VHS player. So what I want to do this year is go to some thrift stores and find DVDs of movies that I've never watched before but always kind of wanted to watch. You can get them for like $1, $2, $3 kind of thing. And then I'll actually have like the physical media because I love physical media. I was thinking about buying that, and then that way I can spend time in here and watch movies of movies that I wanted to watch that I would watch inside, say on Netflix or Prime or anything like that while I crochet. But if I can do it in here with a DVD, I would rather do that. So my plan this summer is to find some DVDs and spend time in here, crochet, and like watch TV. I just don't spend as much time in here as I would like because I get so comfy in the house, and then the cats are in the house, and it's a whole thing. And if buying DVDs will get me to be in here, then that's what I'm gonna do. So I think that does it for this week's vlog. Again, I do have a Patreon, and if you are part of my Patreon, then you get this video a whole day earlier without ads because it's on my Patreon. I also have all my patterns. So if you ever wondered, hey, I really like that tapestry pattern you did, do you have it somewhere? It's on my Patreon. I also have 2 tiers on my Patreon. I have one that's just for vlogs and one that's for patterns and vlogs. So, you know, if you're interested in any of my tapestry crochet projects, or you want to watch any of my vlogs, especially if you want to watch them a day earlier without ads, definitely check out my Patreon. I will have the link in my description below. In the comments, please let me know what y'all are working on. I know I ask this every week, but I read all your comments, and I'm very interested in hearing what y'all are working on. Is anyone else doing anything Stranger Things related for their 10-year anniversary? I feel like I can't be the only one out there. If you're doing something, please let me know. I think that does it for this video, so y'all have a good day now.